Next we have Una Nowling. She is the president of 90.1 FM KKFI, the Kansas City Community Radio, hostess of Trans Talk, co-producer of Every Woman, founder of the website Trans the City, adjunct professor of engineering, and a licensed professional engineer. So give it up for Una Nowling.
Hello, Kansas City. I'm going to try to talk standing here because I don't trust this chair. But I was asked to come here and speak as a transgender historian about the subject of transgender erasure. Because make no mistake about it, the current administration is not just satisfied with taking away our rights, with taking away our dignity, with taking away our ability to live and love and just be Americans in this great country of ours. They want to erase us from existence. So I wanted to talk about the fight against transgender erasure from history with some examples right down to earth in a language that we can all understand. When pioneer Christine Jorgensen came out on December 1st, 1952, her friends and family told her when she was out against her will, be quiet, hide. Her aunt told her, stay inside my house. Don't go out there. Don't let people see you. Eventually, they'll forget about you. And she looked at them and she asked them the question, why on earth would I ever want anyone to forget about someone like me? And she went in front of the cameras and microphones, and at a time when most folks believed that she was a freak, an outlier, the only creature like her in the world, she stood proud and refused to be erased, and she said, we are not just this one, we are not just few, we are legion. When Michael Dillon couldn't find anyone in the 1940s to give him the testosterone treatment he needed to be the man he was meant to be, he stood up and he refused to be erased. He fought his way through medical school and taught himself how to give himself his own hormone treatment and wrote the first book on trans hormone treatment for transgender men. He would not be erased. On a hot August night in 1966, 3 long years before Stonewall, queer, non-binary, and transgender persons of color at Compton's cafeteria in San Francisco were being arrested by the police, removed from public accommodations to erase their presence. And those warriors fought back and refused to become just another entry in the police blotter. They stood strong, and their action impressed the police so much that the police did something unexpected. They stood back and they listened. Those warriors in San Francisco refused to let themselves be erased. And before Compton's, there was the Black Cat Club, Cooper's Donuts, Dewey's Lunch Counter. So many different actions in trans history that most of us don't even know about. 1 year after Compton's, Sir Lady Java, a transgender person of color, fought the attempt by the city of Los Angeles to erase her identity and deny her employment by banning her gender presentation. And she marched in her high heels and white dress every night in front of her nightclub, standing in the rain, telling everyone she met, I ain't going anywhere. And her action spurred the change that allowed her and thousands like her to have an authentic gender presentation. And then just 2 years later, Stonewall, the event that no one could even think of erasing, led by transgender and queer and non-binary persons of color who refused to compromise on civil rights, refused to knuckle under to the quislings and traitors within our own community who told them to shut up, be nice. It's better to stay in a cage and take what our masters give us rather than taking part in the war for freedom, dignity, and human rights. I tell you as an activist and a historian, our history is ancient, but our history is also right now. Transgender and non-binary persons have been part of humanity since there even was such a thing as humanity. We will be there regardless of the ideologies and rhetoric of any party of hate. We will be there despite the hysterical polemics of the fearmongers. We will be there no matter how much somebody tries to pray us back into the closet or to a grave. And I have to say something to the many allies that are here to fight with us and stand with us. That same Christine Jorgensen who I spoke about earlier, well, she once faced down a Pennsylvania deputy sheriff at a theater where he stood there with a hand on the gun at his hip, and he stood there and blocked the ladies' room, and he said, "Boy, you are going to use the men's room like you oughta." And she stood there in front of him, shaking and scared she was. And she said, "I'll go to the ladies' room, I'll go behind a bush, I'll even go right here on the floor, but I will never be forced into that men's room where I don't belong." And then something happened. Something happened that night in rural Pennsylvania. Cisgender women stood up that day, took her by the arm, and they walked her into that ladies' room and stood guard. And they told that bigot with his gun, "You leave her the hell alone. Allies matter." Some of you may have heard the interview we had on Trans Talk last month with activist Bryn Tannehill. And she said, "We're at a crisis point here. The bigots are in power, and they are taking all of their pent-up, fragile, fundamentalist rage over our very existence and our lives and rolling back every single advance we've made in the last decade." Remember folks in 2016 who said, "It's not going to be so bad. Stop overreacting. Why are you all so angry? Trump's just all talk and no action. He just loves LGBT people, doesn't he?" Remember those folks? Never forget the many excuses that some people will make to not get involved. Oh sure, they may share memes and they may sign a couple petitions, but they won't get involved. I don't see anyone here like that today, do you? You're all here because you care and you want to fight, and our lives matter. All I see here are people that are going to be that person that stands up and says, "Not today, not one more inch, not one more slur, not one more injustice, not one more rape, not one more suicide, and not one more murder." When we can't march anymore, then we'll walk. And when we can't walk, we'll crawl. And when we can't crawl, we'll spit on their jack boots and look up at them and say, "Screw you, I won't do what you tell me." In closing, I want to leave you with a message of hope and a message of power. First, vote. Get your friends, get your family, get your co-workers, and get everyone who truly cares about you and our lives, and get them to the polls for civil rights and human rights, and vote! Sorry, my hands are shaking. It's scary being up here. Second, live the change every single day. Be the person who stands up to the bigots driving by in their pickup truck and says, "Hey, tranny," and be the person that stands up at the Thanksgiving table to the bigots that live right next to us. Each and every one of you, be proud and be strong with no fear in your heart, and be a living example of your own manifest destiny. Show everyone around you, but most importantly, you all show yourself just how awesome a human being can truly be. Because all of you are freaking awesome. And my family, be there for your community, your chosen family, your comrades in the fight. Never lose courage, never lose hope, never lose the fight. And always, always remember and honor our dead, those who fell and now rest in power. They can take away our lives, and then they'll have our bodies. not our dignity, not our obedience, and not our truth. Trans lives matter. We will not be erased. Thank you.
Right. Thank you so much, Una. So, as I